Welcome to Her Story, where motherhood is real, raw, and unfiltered.
A powerful collaboration between Birth by Us and the Birth Squad. This is a space where mothers come together to share their truths.
From pregnancy to postpartum, through triumphs and challenges, these are the stories that connect us all.
Because every mother has a story, and we're here to listen. This is Her Story.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our next story for our Her Story series with Birth by Us. We have the pleasure and privilege of interviewing Ayana today. So Ayana, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your path towards motherhood?
Yeah, so I am 27 years old. I am a new resident in Tennessee. I was born and raised in Georgia all my life, so this is a new beginning to me. I just started my master's program in social work, following my dreams. My daughter actually motivating me to keep going, so it's a plus. My journey to motherhood, it was unexpected, not planned, but definitely worth everything. When I found out, I was very nervous, very scared. I wasn't really in a position to, what I thought, bring a child into the world, but it's like, I guess a mother's instinct to like get ready. So I prepared myself during my 10 months of growing her. She was actually due an hour and a half before her actual due date.
Thank you for that. So, reflecting on your prenatal care experience, what aspects of the care you received would you say were the most helpful? And also thinking about that, would you say there were any areas that you felt that the model could have been improved?
Yes, I would say I had a really good prenatal care experience as far as when I went to my first appointment, they gave me a packet of what every appointment would look like. Like this appointment, you're getting your blood drawn. This appointment, you'll have to do your urine work and et cetera, et cetera. The appointments for ultrasounds. Very informative because I didn't know as a first time mom that you didn't get an ultrasound every appointment. And like I'm like, I want to see the baby. But that was very helpful. I would say it's very scary, and for prenatal care, especially for first-time moms, the initial moment between finding out that you're pregnant and that first actual appointment, as I had to wait 8 weeks from when I found out to actually having my first appointment, just the idea of like, I don't know what's going on. They didn't say anything on the phone, like, what should I be doing right now? And he only told me to start my prenatal vitamins. Didn't recommend a brand or anything. So I'm like, it's your first time go, you're really nervous, you don't want to do anything wrong. So I would say as far as that, I wish there was more communication prior to that first appointment. But once I jumped in, I had a really great team, very informative. And if I had any issues, they paid attention to. Like I had a COVID in my early pregnancy, first trimester, and they let me go see a specialist, which was kind of my concern, especially as a African American woman in America, just making sure like I don't go unseen in this. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess now focusing on that early postpartum period, what would you say were some of the biggest adjustments that you had to make when you actually brought your baby home? And how did you handle, the emotional, the physical demands with those first few weeks of a new baby?
Yeah. So I'm big on like movies and stuff. So just watching people in movies has really skewed my image of like what postpartum was gonna look like. You think like, oh, it's gonna be dreamy, you get home, you flight dress and just flowers and rainbows. That was absolutely not it. And I had a pretty good overall experience coming home. It's just the transition from it being you and your partner to having another person that you're having to take care of was a big jump. So I felt a lot of, at the time, resentment against my partner because I felt like his life didn't change. He was able to get up, go to the gym. Mind you, he still helped, like more than most men I feel like would. Like I didn't have to change a diaper for 2 weeks, so I feel like that was pretty good. But he could just get up and go live his life, and I was like rotting in the bed for the most part, trying to recover and like just seeing how my body changed. And I've always been a very small, fit person, and I gained 90 pounds for the pregnancy. So I was thinking, like, in the movies, you have the baby, you snap right back. That was definitely not the case. So just looking at myself in a different light was hard for me. And I would say one of the hardest things to adjust to is breastfeeding. I decided to go the breastfeeding pumping route. I wanted to do strictly breast milk for her at least the first 6 months. And I thought it was going to be easy, but I didn't understand the science behind sometimes they don't latch. And I was like, is it me? And the gorging and the pain. I thought I was supposed to have my milk right away. And it didn't come until days later. And just the pressure of even my partner was like, we're going to have to give her formula if you're not giving her enough. And he didn't even know that the baby didn't need all that at the time. So even the drops she was getting was enough for her. But it was a lot to take in. And I feel like leaving the hospital, they were more concerned about my baby and not me. And how seeing how she had 3 appointments in between my 6-week checkup. And then I went to my 6-week checkup and then it was just like, yep, you're good. You can go back to your normal life. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm 100% to be back in the gym, having intercourse, all that. So it's just, it was different than what I expected. And even since I've only seen my doctor once for my yearly checkup. But she's like, if you have an issue, she could call. But I don't know what's the issue and what's just me being a new mom.
You touched on a lot of really good points. I feel like, like you said, it's all dreamy and, beautiful, but then expectations and what is reality are totally different. And, having a pregnancy, you go through such a remarkable change in your body and in your family, all those types of things. So I wanted to know if you had any particular tips for other women to kind of help them during that healing journey, that transition.
Yes, I would say first things first, definitely do not put too much pressure on yourself. I feel like I'm very much like a perfectionist. I need things to be a certain way. So I had this idea of having a routine and doing this, and this is how this is going to look, and this is how this is going to be. Absolutely not. You're just going to stress yourself out more than what you actually need. Take it day by day. I would definitely say those first couple of weeks is survival mode and learning your child. Every baby comes differently, and just learning who they are, what they like, what they don't like, and kind of just going from there. Would definitely say give yourself grace. I didn't give myself enough grace. I look back and I want to hug my especially postpartum self because I feel like I did great, but in the moment, it didn't feel like I was doing enough. So give yourself grace. Definitely allow yourself to recover. I feel like I was up on my feet a little too soon. I'm more of a, if I want it done right, I need to do it myself. But just kind of, lay back, relax, rest, and learn what works best for you, your baby, and your body. Your body more than anyone else would. And if you see anything, say something.
Thank you so much for that. Those are great words of wisdom. I want to focus a little bit on that survival mode period because that's important for people to hear more about. So, a big part of that time is sleep deprivation, right? So, do you
Yes.
have um, any suggestions or how can you share with us how you were able to cope with that in the early months with your newborn?
Yes. It's very difficult the first few nights. They send you home with the baby with little instructions, and you're terrified. You hear all these things about SIDS, and it's really scary. So I spent nights where I didn't really sleep, even when the baby was asleep, just standing over her, making sure she's breathing, looking at the monitor, making sure she's moving. But I eventually got out of that really quick because my body was telling me you need to sleep. Luckily, I had a really good support system. My partner was there. He took a month of paternity leave. So he was home. There was no, I got to get up because you have to go to work, and even during the day. So we created a schedule, I think 2 weeks in. At first, we were just doing what needed to be done. We both would get up, and then we realized, I have to get up every 2 to 3 hours to pump. So when I get up, I'll take her, and et cetera, et cetera. About 2 weeks in, we created a schedule where I was able to do the late night shift because I'm a natural night owl. So I would stay up Or I would get up if she were to wake up between a certain amount of hours, and he would do the early morning, like 4 a.m. to I believe like 10 a.m. and I could sleep. And then during the day, I know they say sleep on a baby sleeps. And this is where I say, like, give yourself grace. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Because during the day, the baby would sleep and I would feel like I needed to get the house in order because we would have company. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They know you're new parents. They're coming over. And most of the times, my friends and family would come over to help. They would clean, they would cook, they would bring food. So don't think your family and friends are going to judge you. If they do, maybe they're not the right people to bring around. But definitely trying to not, oh, I'll say we created a schedule, but it wasn't too much pressure on it because there were days where things look different because, like I said, we're learning our new baby. And as she grows, things change. But definitely having support helped me, I would say. I don't know if I would have been able to do it on my own. I feel like in that sense, I definitely would have had to go the route of sleeping when the baby sleeps.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think like all of what you said, it sounds like you were able to, once you get past the initial period of learning your baby, right? Like make those routines, figure out those strategies, and have that communication with your partner, which sounded like in this case was really, really paramount. I guess we talked about sleep, right? And sometimes we frame sleep as like self care, but to be honest, it's like a very basic need, right?
Yes.
And so when we think about self care beyond sleep, how are you able to actually find time for yourself to do things like that and to manage both like motherhood, but also yourself, right? How do you still
Mhm.
nurture yourself while being a new mom?
Yeah, it's definitely hard, especially when you're just a single person. You're used to getting up and going. And that's something I had to kind of learn as I grew into motherhood, just not being able to grab my bag and walk out the door. I had to pack a diaper bag. And more times than not, as I'm walking out the door, there's a blowout. So I'm just learning to leave early and prepare for like anything to happen. But definitely, I feel like I had to get creative because, like I said, my partner had to go back to work. And there were times where I felt like I didn't shower in days. And like that's part of self care. And like, postpartum smell is real. I don't know if other people smell it, but you definitely feel like you smell like onions or something. So it it definitely was affecting my self-esteem, and I kind of had to have like a come to Jesus moment with myself, like, all right, girl, if you're gonna feel better by yourself, you kind of gotta look a little better than what you're doing right now. So just getting creative. I would get in the shower tub with the baby or bring her into the bedroom. Or, like I said, like they say sleep when the baby sleeps, but sometimes it feels like there's things that can be done while she's sleeping. Put her down for a nap, go ahead and do my shower and get myself ready for the day. I felt better those days where I would get up and actually get ready for the day instead of lounging around in my milk soaked t-shirts and spit up pants. But definitely taking the time. And like I said, I had a really good support system. I'm the first of my friend group to have a baby, and they were very supportive. And it was never a moment where well, there were a few, but it was never any like large moments where I felt left out. And I always was invited, even with the baby. So once she turned about like 3 months, I would go out to eat with my friends and they would like bring her and like we would just sit like a big family. You know, she's a girl, so she's part of the girl. So I saw my girl time with them, and my mom, she's a huge support. She's always like, can we bring dinner? Can she stay? And so if I needed to, I could drop her off and do what I need to do. Like she's my go-to, like, because I work from home and I'm able to like slide in and out. And if I need my nails done, I could just drop them with my mom and go do that. And the support system definitely played a role, but definitely getting creative and finding ways to incorporate her into my self-care too has been awesome.
I'm so happy to hear that you had such a strong, supportive network to really get you through this postpartum time and that transition. Is there any way that becoming a mother affected any of your relationships?
I would say, starting with my mother, we weren't super close, but after I had my daughter, we've become like best friends. Like just seeing like what she went through with me, and like I call her about everything. I'm like, hey, is this normal? Like, hey, what did you do? And like we had to go through this, and she gives me tips and tricks. Some a little outdated, and that's where we butt heads. But she's like, yeah, I did that with you guys and you were fine. And I'm like, the research is out and it's improved that we should not do that. But definitely, I would say in that area, we were like growing closer, and I could see it being what I wanted, like mother, grandmother, like relationship. So very excited about that. My friends, like, some of them are like, "Oh," I get left out in some things because 'cause they're like, "Oh, I didn't know because you have the baby," so that does hurt, and some of them are very supportive. I did feel moments where I felt, like, lonely, and all I can say for that is they'll understand when they go through it. A lot of people have friends who are on the same chapter as them, and they're able to, experience pregnancy together and all that, but I had to do it on my own and just feel like no one really understood what I was going through. As far as my partner, that was a big change. Like, we're so used to just it being us two. He did not like me, let's say, those first 2 weeks postpartum, and I hate it because, like, men really don't get the education they need on how to properly support their spouse or partner in postpartum and even, like, prenatal, but, like, he was never not there. He just didn't like the way I was, and, postpartum rage is real. I can say I did apologize for a lot, but they got complicated to where, I said I felt that resentment, and I felt I had moments where I would blow up on him to where it's like, I feel like you could be doing more because I did so much. Like, I literally carried this child for 10 months and pushed her out, and now I'm recovering, and you just get to run around all willy-nilly, so when I ask for something small, I feel like it should be done. But we had a lot of conversation. I feel like, and I hate to say, I honestly feel like it took us a couple months to get back to like where we are, and a lot of it played a part in the age of our child. She's so young, we're new, we felt like she needed all of our attention. But you forget that you still have to attend to the relationship too. And we weren't doing that. But we're definitely in a great place, and surprisingly so, I actually due for our second child in January. So we get a second go around, and
That's
hopefully, like, we already had a conversation, like, we're not going back to what it was. We're gonna do this differently, and so that was a big change. We definitely butted heads in the beginning, and it didn't seem like we were gonna make it. And you see that a lot in relationships when you need children or new babies, but we made it through the fire.
Thank you so much for sharing that and congratulations.
Thank you. I just dropped the ball.
But you bring up a really good point. Like, this is something that Ijama and I see commonly, like when people see us postpartum. And there are resources that are available. So, one that I love is called Taking Care of Babies. And it's really for men to help them figure out, like, what should I do? What could I be doing? And I had a friend actually use that as a tool to communicate with her partner. And he was like, wow, I didn't realize all these things. And he was like, I told you those things, but I'm glad you read something that made you realize it, right? Sometimes someone else just needs to tell them that, right? But the other thing is a lot of people will go into therapy, like individual therapy, couples therapy, because it's a huge transition. And it's not just that they don't know what to do, but sometimes women struggle to trust their partner, right? And maybe that's justified, but you end up taking on a lot of responsibility and figuring out how can I share that load. The other piece is a lot of people get a doula. So there's postpartum doulas out there that they gonna wake up in the middle of the night and do that shift, and you just provide them with the milk or whatever. And so looking at if it's available to you, can I have a doula to support me? Or can I have my mom be my doula who does that, who's like stays over for the first 2 weeks and gets up in the middle of the night and takes a shift? So there's so many strategies, and you mentioned a lot of them, but communication is at the heart of all of that. So thank you so much for sharing that. We really enjoyed this conversation, and we wanted to kind of end by asking, is there anything else that you wanted to share with the listeners that you haven't already shared? Because you have shared a lot of pearls with them that we've really enjoyed.
I guess I would leave them with, if you are new or expecting mom, definitely cherish the moments. They will go by really fast. I know a lot of people say that, but my daughter is about to turn 1 next month, and I feel like it just sped by. Like, there's no other way to say it. Just cherish the little moments and those nights where it feels like it's just permanent. This is what it's going to be like forever. It's absolutely not. It is absolutely not. There's a way to get out and prevail, and it gets better. I promise. It does. Oh, yeah.
It's like,
I just, I'm new to the area, so I joined a Facebook mom group for the area. They give a lot of advice. They have mom groups. My church has a mom group. trying to get involved and see what's going on.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for just sharing all of your insights. It's been an amazing conversation, so I appreciate you.
Thank you guys so much. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for listening to Her Story. We hope that these stories inspire, uplift, and remind you that you're never alone on this path.
Tune in on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Also, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and join the conversation.
We would love to hear your thoughts, your stories, and you can connect with us on social media.
Together, we're building a community, one voice at a time.